Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Awaken to Your Soul Path. I am your host, Barbara, and today I am joined by the wonderful Andrea Korin, and we are going to be talking about how to have confidence in your own magic, because we both see so many people struggling either with not thinking that there is something special about them or the things that they're able to do. Lots of people are disconnected from their inner guidance system, which is your intuition, and don't know how to get back to it. And then we have the whole spiritual realm, which a lot of people are discovering. So I am very much looking forward to our talk. So thank you for being a guest on the show today, Andrea.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, me too. So, what made you come up with confidence in your magic? Because I think the key word right now would then be magic, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's I see, as you mentioned, I see many people, many of my clients, and I'm gonna include myself, in the beginning of the journey. Um, we all have gifts, we all have skills, we all have things that we are masters at. And somehow when we are masters at that probably in childhood.
Mhm.
We have this innocence and we are not conditioned, but as life comes, we tend to forget these things, or we tend to be maybe ashamed of these things, and we just put them in the back burner. And
Yes.
at some point in life, they may come again, like afloat, right?
Yes.
And when at that point, when they come afloat, most of us, we just tend to like disregard them. And maybe, some of us do start listening and we realize, oh my gosh, like I'm so good at this, or I have this skill, I have this thing that I'm really, really good at. But it takes a journey to feel confident in that again, because
Yes.
we we may have either hide it or feel guilty or be ashamed by it, or we don't even trust whatever this thing is for us.
Yes.
And in reality, when we start like rediscovering this and embracing it and maybe mastering it again, things start falling into place. So I think it's very important that we all remember our own magic and that we actually, when we reconnect to it, that we get to trust it and we get to use it in a way where we feel radiant and it helps us, in our everyday life.
Yes. I love that. And it's so incredibly true. It's also true for my journey. I've always had certain gifts when I was younger. People were scared of it, and they told me to not be silly or to not be so creepy because I had the gift of knowing. I knew things with absolute certainty, absolute clarity that I had no business of knowing, but I knew, and that scared people. So that was a part of them not accepting me. And then I was bullied in school, and I was also bullied at home. So the whole
Yeah,
combination made me feel like I couldn't be myself. That
right,
came natural to me, was not the way I could be. So I started doing my best to please everybody, to turn myself into the person that I thought everybody wanted me to be. But fast forward to when I was 32, it ended me up in a severe burnout because I had lost complete touch with my body. I had no clue what the headaches meant, and the tense shoulders, and the digestive problems, the sleeping problems. And of course, you think, oh, yeah, it's not good. But then you take an aspirin, or,
yeah,
you sleep in on Sunday and you tell yourself everything will be okay if you do things like that. But the reality is that it's not okay, and that you are also unaware or ignoring a lot of the other signals that your body is giving. And I see a lot of people ending up in a burnout for those reasons. And that don't even get me started on intuition. Lots of people don't know what intuition is, let alone how it can help, why you should want to be in touch with your intuition, how to feel it, how to listen to it. So what are your experiences in that area?
So for me, of course, it's kind of like when you start, like, I guess for me, I'm just gonna talk about my own experience. When your soul is trying to guide you back, like to reconnect to who you truly are, it sends you like little nudges, like a little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, pay attention to this, or like, hey, or a situation that may happen in your life time and time again, right? With
Yes.
different people, with different jobs that you take, with different, I don't know, like you go to the supermarket and you encounter something or you see something, it's like time and time again. And you just tend to like not even pay attention, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not important. And then it will come to a point that if you don't pay attention, you are gonna be really much like stopped from whatever is going on so you can truly pay attention.
Yes.
And usually the way that you get to pay attention is if something happens like physically in your body, in your
Yes, a
physical body.
disease or an accident or
Yes.
something. Yes.
Something happens, a disease, an accident, I don't know, some sort of illness, like something happens that makes you stop. For
Hmm.
me, it presented itself like, I was feeling very, very, I got this feeling that there was something else, there was something bigger for me to be doing. I was working at a corporate job at the time, and I was pretty much miserable.
Yeah.
I cannot put it any other way. It
Hmm.
was miserable. Um, Not because I wasn't good at what I was doing. I was very good at what I was doing. I'm a very skilled person. I can be very analytical. I can be very structured. Um, so it wasn't that I was unhappy because I was unskilled for whatever I was doing and I was unfit for the job that I was doing. That was not the reason. Yet I remember that I kept on like waking up to go to the office and thinking, why am I even going there? Like, like it doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, okay, I gotta pay the bills, so I gotta go to work, right? So I will go to work and I will be unhappy and I will complain and it was like, when you're waiting like for the clock to be like, oh, I'm out of here now. Well, kind of like that. And it happened for a long time. And I kept on disregarding these signs that, I will wake up and I will feel like I don't want to be there. You feel this heaviness. It came to a point that I went to the office and I sat at my desk and I just felt that I couldn't stay there. I
Hmm.
just couldn't. And I had to leave that day. I just said, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna, get some fresh air and I'll be right back. I never went back in the building.
Hmm.
I just went straight to my car and I started crying and I went through like what many people describe as the dark night of the soul, where I just couldn't do anything physically. I was like thrown in bed for 3 days and I would cry out of the blue. I had no apparent reason. I did go to the doctor. So for anybody that's listening to this, do the smart and the responsible thing and do check yourself with a doctor because, I'm not diagnosing anybody here. So you take care with a professional and make sure, I got my whole body got scanned pretty much. They measure my heart, my pressure, my eyesight, the way that I was breathing. They sent me for a whole bunch of labs to make sure. And there was nothing wrong with me physically, yet
Yeah.
physically I was feeling all of these different things. And when I came out of that, it was like if something, a switch got turned on. That's the best way that I can describe it. It was like I never got to see, even though I was already in my personal growth and self development and everything. I think that was really the moment where I was like, okay, I am more like attuned now to my body. my physical body. Um, I am more attuned to my spirit guides, if you want to call them. My whole life, I was very, very close to angels, and you know, that kind of expanded now. But at that point, I was very attuned with my energy field and my breathing and everything. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And from that moment on, eventually I did go back to work because, you know, I had to figure out what I was going to do. But I had this whole new perspective on what was going on in this world per se, and in my world, and what I wanted to do with work, with the job, with my life, with my family, with my kids, you know, like everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
I started kind of like listening to the signals that my body was sending me
Mm-hmm.
in every decision that I had to make. That's really that was the pivotal point, I would say, where I was like, okay, I need to
Mm-hmm.
go back to listening
Yeah.
to myself, to the warnings that my body is sending me physically, because now I know that, you know, or I believe, as many people do, that when something does affect me physically, it has started energetically elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It finally has manifested
Yeah.
in physical, because I was ignoring a lot of things. So that was my experience with part of that. Like, what was the pivotal moment?
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I recognize myself in it, and I can only imagine that a lot of listeners and viewers are also recognizing themselves in it. So if that is you, please leave us a comment so that we know that you're out there as well. And you touched upon some really great things in what you're saying, because like you, I was also stuck in a 9 to 5 job, which made me unhappy. Not the work itself, because I loved the work that I'm doing, but I hated the company politics and the ass kissing and the down kicking and all of the games that are being played in corporate. And that's not who we are as a person. So you're sort of being asked to compromise your integrity, your values, in order to advance or to make a promotion. And that goes against our natural order, our natural way of being. But I call these the rules, the bullshit rules of society. They dictate us that you need to know what you want to be at a young age, and then you need to take study according to what you want to become. So the proper education, and then you need to find a good paying job, and then preferably a partner to spend your life with, marry them, get children, and then work at that job until you retire. Something that has been the way of life, and how it's
Yeah,
portrayed for a very long time. And I've never been someone who fit in that mold. And I'm guessing you are not such a person either. And many of us are not such persons, but because nobody ever talks about it, because they always tell you, and jack of all trade, master of none, is one of these sayings, right? And
right.
I have discovered, for me, my strength is being a jack of all trade, and I've mastered everything to the level that I need in order to be able to use it and to help other people. So I've now realized that a lot of these things, and that's why I call them the rules, the bullshit rules, are bullshit, because they were true for the person in that moment, maybe. And most of us, we just take it over. And that means that we think that everybody around us is more or less unhappy, and work hard to play hard is also one of these sayings. And we keep ourselves stuck in a reality that's not matching our energetic vibration. But more importantly, it's not matching who we are supposed to be.
Yeah,
We are dumbing ourselves down. We are trying to put our square self into a round peg, and it's not working. But we try really hard, and we lose ourselves in the process. We lose sight of who we really are. We lose sight of what we are capable of, what our natural talents and gifts are. I call them our superpowers. And
yeah,
we move further and further away from things like angels, intuition, guides, and spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned the jack of all trades because I have this thing where, people tells you, oh, jack of all trades, master of none. And really that saying was supposed to be a compliment because the whole phrase has behind those two phrases, it says, but oftentimes better than master of one. So that's the whole phrase. And it was supposed to be a compliment for, I'm guessing that you're a very multi-passionate, multi-skilled person like
Yeah.
myself, and that I can be good at more than one thing shouldn't be a reason for somebody to shame me on it, you know?
No,
It's like, but it seems that we are, as you were saying, we're put in a box where you need to be good at one thing and you need to master this one thing. But what if I am naturally good at that thing already? And now I'm trying to leave that aside because I'm trying to fit in the box that you are trying to put me in. And
yes,
it takes a lot of confidence actually to say, okay, wait a minute, no, you know,
exactly.
it takes a lot of confidence and a lot of bravery sometimes to say, no, I'm not doing that,
Exactly.
because my light, I shine bright when I'm doing maybe more than one thing.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, and this is a good thing to explore because I have identified many things that can make us feel less confident or not explore this avenue. So it could be, for instance, I had childhood trauma, and that pushed me very far away from who I am, and it did not allow me to trust in myself, to trust in my gifts, to trust in my magic. So I never questioned it because I was already feeling so miserable and with everything that was going on that there was not even space for that. I also not had a role model. I didn't have someone who showed me that that could be a way, because probably they had never had a role model that showed them their way. So that could be a thing. And I think it's underneath all of that is a lack of confidence in self.
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. Because we have put our own self, our own light, our own essence so far behind us just to fit in this box and to fit in our everyday life and rules that surround us, that supposedly this is what we need to do, throughout our life, that we don't even remember at an essence, at a core, who we truly are.
Yes,
So when all of these
exactly.
things start like, coming afloat and coming to light again, it's very conflicting actually.
Yes, it's both scary and exciting, and that's because it's not just that they have undermined your self-confidence and your trust in your gifts and your abilities. It's also often portrayed as frowned upon. And I remember that when I told my mother I finally figured out what's wrong with me, I told her. That was when I still thought there was something wrong with me. And I
Yeah,
said, I know what's wrong with me. I'm a highly sensitive person. And her response sort of shocked me because she said, I know, child, I am one too, but it's not something to be proud of. And I was, well, like I said, shocked by that because I thought, well, why not, right? I didn't understand. But then I started talking with her about it, and you need to see it in the perspective of the Second World War. And here in the Netherlands, the Second World War was very active. We were in smack in the middle
yeah,
of it, and it affected everybody's life. And my grandmother actively saw people being shot to death, deported to concentration camps when they were different. So
yeah,
my grandmother taught my mother to be exactly like everybody else because she genuinely believed that that was better.
Yeah.
that was safer. And as she taught my mother to not go against the grain, to not stick your head up above the corn, and to just, try to fit your square self in the round peg, because then life will be better. And this had the effect of completely disconnecting my mother from her emotions, from her intuition, and from the things that make her a highly sensitive person in
Right.
order to survive. And I cannot even call it thriving, because I honestly don't really think that that is what she's doing. She's just living it the best she knows how. But it's often also a consequence of certain things that can even be generational.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. And I think that, you know, our parents, our grandparents, they've been through some like very, very rough periods in
Yes.
history, I would say.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, like to fit in the mold was a survival thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you are gonna survive because we're gonna act this way and we're gonna do this, and and like don't bring too much attention to yourself. Just say enough,
Yeah.
but not maybe what you're thinking, because that can get you in trouble. To speak your truth can get you in trouble.
Yes, and the added consequence that I've identified is that you don't only not trust in yourself, but when people start telling you about source and that we are all connected and all part of source, then you think, what a bunch of bullshit. You don't
Yes.
even believe things like that in the beginning. We
Yeah.
have a saying here in the Netherlands that's very popular. And if I translate it, it's something like, um, just act normal, then you're already crazy enough.
Right. Yeah.
Huh? So that's
Yeah.
also dimming down your essence, dimming down your light.
Yeah.
And that's what saddens me so much, because I believe that as children, we are born perfect into the world. Children do not worry about how they come across, if people would like them. They do not worry if they are ever going to learn how to talk, or if they ever will be able to walk, or if they can ever live without a diaper. These are things that
Yeah.
don't cross their mind. They see
Yeah.
everybody walking, they want to walk, so they try until they walk. And they hear everybody speaking, and they gather information, and they try until they speak. So children have this natural confidence in
Yeah.
themselves. And lots of children have imaginary friends, or maybe it was some of the Claires, Claire audience,
Yeah.
Claire sentient, Claire, those Claires, and they find it absolutely normal. And as adults, we sort of teach them that they're being weird if they're having a tea party with all their stuffed animals, or that they can only do it to a certain age, because now you're a big boy or now you're a big girl, so you should leave those things behind you. It's not for children your age anymore, or whatever things we tell children, both at home and but also definitely in the school system, that sort of dims their light and shaves off of the things that makes them unique, until everybody is more or less the same and comes out of the life factory more or less the same.
Yeah. And it's so hard to, because I do believe that society does need certain rules, because if not, it would be
Yes.
completely unruly, and, it will get messy.
Yes.
However, it's very difficult to kind of like comply with the rules and still remember that out of that, whatever situation you're at, like, school, work, I don't know, as I said before, going to the supermarket, or, like when you're driving, yes, there are rules for driving, because if not, we will all get into accidents. There's gotta be some sort of consensus of like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yes, there need to be
So everybody
boundaries.
can be safe while we're doing what we're doing, right?
Yes.
But it's very hard sometimes, like when you're doing that and you get into some people, they call it like the monkey mind. You just do. you
Yes.
know, we don't even think about it. It's an automatic thing.
Everybody does it, so I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, you get to forget who you truly are at the core. You
Yes.
really get out of touch and in this connection with like your body.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then you start getting all of these other signals or these situations where you have to just like wonder, like, okay, what's happening here? So, you know, the trust in your intuition and in your gifts, or the trust in your guides, in whatever it is that you believe, um, it's like going to the gym. It's a muscle that you have to kind of like keep active.
Yes.
Because and the more active that you keep it, the more confidence that you find in it, and the easier that it gets for you to understand the signals,
Mm-hmm.
to make it up to the point where, you know, when you really start understanding the signal, then you can make it to the point where you utilize it in your everyday life
Yes.
to improve and to maybe up level your everyday life.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
it doesn't mean, you know, that you're gonna change careers or jobs, or you're gonna relocate, you know, because I think that there's a fear of that too. Like, oh my gosh, you know, like I'm gonna go from do a 180, you know, on your
Mm-hmm.
life of what it is.
Yeah, it
Sometimes,
doesn't have
yes,
to.
it does happen, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way, because we
Mm-hmm.
all have our own path and our own story and
Yes.
our own gifts. So it's not going to happen in the same way for everybody, but it's something to pay
No.
attention to.
Exactly. Because sometimes I have clients who have had a great upbringing, who had loving parents who supported them. They have the self-confidence. They don't really have any traumas, and they have landed a job that gives them a lot of autonomy. So it's almost like working for yourself, but then you're not, you're still working for a boss, but they have faith in you, in your talents, in your gifts, and you're sort of being given free reign. And for them, life looks very different than for the person that has had trauma happen when they were younger and is stuck in limiting beliefs and paradigms that are not suiting them, and that are then moved into a corporate job that doesn't really fit who they are, because everybody says, well, you need to work, right? You need to have a job. And they then end up in a position where they are experiencing very different things from the person who had a great childhood and a job with a lot of autonomy. But both of them can still be disconnected
Yeah,
from their intuition, from feeling supported, from feeling loved, and then not loved in the sense of your partner, your children, your parents, but you can call it God's love or universal love, source love,
yeah,
just the loving energy where you feel there's someone watching out for you. And one of my closest friends unexpectedly died last year, and she was the one I was originally doing this TV show with. And today on my walk, I saw a red robin, and I see regular red robins, and her name was Robin. So
oh,
every
wow.
time I see a Robin, it's like, "Hey, Robin, you're here again." Yeah, she
Right.
says, "I'm never leaving you. I'm here, and I'm still helping. And you just cannot see me in my human form anymore." And
Yes.
then I feel happy and comforted that she's not gone, right?
Right. She starts in another realm, in another form, let's say, but she's
Yes.
not really gone. Yeah, I have like very, I don't want to say particular views, you know, on what we call death, but transitioning, because I believe we are never really gone. We are just like evolving into another form, and we may decide to come back to a physical form, maybe or maybe not. Um, but yeah, I do believe in the signs and the energies, and you know the other side visiting us, you know, and letting us know that it's okay, that we're still loved and we're still, you know, taken care of and we have safety. But that is something that you can, in a way, develop or grow into, because this person that I am now talking about this probably wouldn't be talking about it if you would catch me, you know, I don't know, 12, 15 years ago. I
Mm.
would have been like, yeah, sure. you know,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. You know, I did have some sort of beliefs or whatnot, but I was not like fully into it. So my
No,
perspective then and my perspective now is not really the same.
exactly.
So yeah,
For me, it's the same. That's why I also brought up it. It's often we also don't really believe in these things. Depending on where we were raised, how we were raised, when we come into touch with spirituality and things like intuition and empathy and spirit guides, angels, signs from the universe, angel numbers, all of these things.
yeah,
For a lot of us, it's out there. It's in
yeah,
the same category as Area 51 and the green
right,
aliens and such, right? So a lot of people have difficulty accepting it or even entertaining the notion of something more being out there. Past lives, karma, no, 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 right? So it's a journey, and it's a unique journey for everyone. So that's why I always call it discovering your unique user manual. And what
yeah,
makes you Andrea? What makes me Barbara? And how does that manifest in my life? What does that look like? What makes it unique to me? And then how can I trust in it more? I often give clients exercises designed to start learning to reconnect with their intuition and to start trusting in it more, breathing exercises to connect more with the body and to go more within. And another favorite thing that a lot of people talk about is, of course, mindfulness and meditation. But
yeah,
so many people are either, done with mindfulness, the term, which I can understand. And it's is also not always working for the highly sensitive person. And a lot of other people think, well, but I'm not going to sit with my legs crossed on a beautiful pillow, having my fingers like this and doing om for 15 minutes a day and see that as meditation. And that it's so much more than that. Mindfulness is just trying to be in the now moment as much as possible, not worry about the future and what might happen and how you will respond to it or how you can prepare for it, or worrying about the past. I should have said that, I should have done that, what if this, what if that. All of these things are beyond your control. The only thing that you can control is how you're feeling right now. And if
yeah,
you're not feeling okay, then you need to start thinking about how can I feel okay and how can I create a plan to make me feel okay and then execute the plan.
yeah.
So that is for me the essence of mindfulness, being in the now. And meditation can already be as simple as, noticing your breath, just following it for a couple of minutes, wherever you are, sitting, driving, lying down, it doesn't really matter.
There's a lot of misconception, I think, when it comes to self-care and spirituality of what it really is,
Yes,
like you mentioned, you mentioned meditation and it's like, oh, I cannot sit still for X amount of time doing this. And I'm thinking that, okay, that's fine. But as you're saying, it doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's just a couple of seconds, like just close your eyes and breathe. Feel your body as you're breathing, be in this moment, be present, have the awareness of the presence of the moment. But I think that, there's a lot of like misconception about what the work is too.
yes.
Meditation sometimes is a moving meditation. You don't have to be sitting and you can be
I have
moving.
meditations that are done while you're walking.
Exactly. Exactly. It can be a walking meditation, a moving meditation. There are so many, many tools and techniques
Yes,
that really what I tell people usually is like, you need to find what works for you. But
exactly.
what works for me may not work for you because we don't
Exactly.
have the same blueprint. We don't have the same circuitry. We don't have the same energy. So we need to find what works for us in that very moment. I
Yes,
have techniques that I use or that I use with my clients, and it's not every day the same. It's because it depends on what I'm feeling at the moment or what I'm going through at the moment or what my day may look like.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes doing meditation for half an hour is great, and sometimes just doing a quick breath work for 5 minutes, it works even better for me, depending on what I'm doing. So, but that also goes to say that you have to really know yourself, right?
Yes.
In order to decide properly what it is right for you.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So that's why I say the same things as you were just
Yeah.
saying. So I love that we have the same attitude and vision with regards to that. And I teach my clients not my methods. I just teach them a lot of different things so that they can
Yes.
explore and figure out what works for them. I call that your spiritual toolbox. And
Yeah.
it's the things that you can use whenever you need them. And it's good to have that already handy for whenever things are more in the shadow energy side or the lower
Yes.
energy, because if you then need to think on how to get myself out of it, it's going to be very difficult. If you're in a low energy, if you're in a low vibration, if you're feeling down or depressed or angry or dead in the inside, whatever it is that you're feeling, it's very difficult to come up with things to elevate yourself. So it's good to have an overview of things that you can do mapped out to how you're feeling, or at least the severity of what you're feeling, so that you just only have to scan and think, oh yeah, that sounds like the thing I need right now, and then do it.
Yes. Yes. And it's very important to know. I think that one of the most, I guess, maybe one of my aha moments throughout the journey, right? It's I had to learn to really, really listen, like what type of signaling my body was sending me.
Yes.
Because not all of us receive intuition or listen to intuition in the same way. Some people receives like a download, and some people like feels it in their whole bodies. For some people, it's like something in their stomach.
Yeah.
For me, and for some people, it's emotional. For some people, it's in their heart center. So you really need to start paying attention in those small moments that you have to be present in your body and in the now,
Yes.
really start working with yourself and saying, okay, where, like, give me a yes. Or even you may feel very, very silly in the beginning. If you are like really you never done this type of work before, like energy work or inner work, um, some things may seem like really, really silly because your head is gonna kick in and your thoughts are gonna kick in, and you're gonna be like, oh, what am I doing? Like this is stupid. Like this is not working.
Yeah.
I had all of these feelings, for example, regarding pendulum work.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, pendulum work? Like, no, like this is baloney, like
Yeah,
this
you
doesn't
are
work.
moving it
Yeah,
wherever you
you
want
are
it to go.
moving it, this is whatever, like,
Yeah.
and then I learned like techniques to work with the pendulum, and that is actually an energy tool, and how my energies are affecting, the movement or whatnot. And I was like, oh my God. Now the pendulum is something that I trust. I'm not gonna say particularly with my life, right? Because it depends on my energy too and the environment and whatnot. But it's a very valuable tool for me, and
Yes.
I trust it. It's like
Yeah.
I trust it. I mean, I will have, as I was saying, 12 years ago, you will have talked to me about the pendulum, and I will be like,
Yeah.
sure,
Yes.
yeah,
Me
sure,
too.
you're moving it,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I recognize that. And it's also, another topic that we ventured into a little bit, is guides and knowing that you're not alone. As some people call it, your dream team. It can be
Yes.
a combination of people that have been in your life that has have passed away, like Robin. It
Yeah,
can also be from past lives. It can be angels. It can be a whole dream
yeah,
team that is supporting you. And I was caught off from being able to feel them or connect with them for a long time. And
yeah,
I hadn't realized that the songs that I'm hearing in my head are my dream team talking to me until
yes.
I started doing this work. I started paying more attention. And then when I was worrying about things, I all of a sudden would hear, "Don't you worry about a thing." And then why does this song pop in my head, right? That was the beginning. And now I think, oh, yeah, good advice. Thank you. I needed to hear that
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
like, thank you for letting me know.
Yes, exactly. So I discovered that they often talk to me in song, different types of songs. That is great. And I could also be jealous of people who saw angel numbers. And for those of you who do not know what angel numbers are, they are usually numbers like 1 1 or 1 1 1, 1 1 1 1, 2 2 2 2. But it can also be double numbers like 14 14 when you're working with the military clock, or
Yeah.
repeating numbers that have a sort of spiritual meaning for you. And I always thought I never see any of those. But that's not true. I was just not paying attention to it. And
Exactly.
we have the same thing when you want to buy a new car or a new dress or new shoes. It doesn't really matter, something new. And you
Yes.
start looking into it and start researching what you want, what color, what model, what version, whatever. Then if we take the car, for example, then all of a sudden I think, oh my God, there's one, and there's one, and there's one, and there's one. Oh, there are a lot of people that are driving that car. I never noticed before.
Yeah.
And that's because you were not tuned into it
Right.
before.
Right. And sometimes you will get messages or whatnot, and or you will see things like the signs or as your guides. Can be spirit animals. Like for me, kind of like I always have like a close connection with angels. I believe, even though I was not like seeing them, I had situations in my life where I could have gotten hurt, like seriously hurt, and I didn't. And it was like a split of a second where I made a decision, let's say, to cross the road, and then all of a sudden, right there, the place where I would have been like a car crash, literally right there, I would have died. I have many situations in my life like that. And so I always felt the strong presence of angels, even though I didn't see them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it started, when I started like meditating and with like deep meditation, like having a deep state of relaxation, I will say, I started seeing birds, kind of like in the quantum realm, kind of like visions. I'm not a bird person in life. I'm
No.
not at all. However, on the other side, as I like to call it, birds come, and it's never like a regular bird that I will see on the daily. It's always some sort of like exotic bird or something that completely
Yeah.
random.
Yeah.
And then I started paying attention, and I was like, there's got to be a meaning to this. Like, why am I seeing this? And sure enough, every single time it was like spot on with whatever situation I was going through. So I started paying attention to these things. But you can also have the misinterpretation of what's coming to you.
Yeah.
And I have sometimes, we ask, it comes to a point where you will ask things, right? If you have a deep connection with your team, you may start like, I call it like my kind of like my own private party, because sometimes, depending on what I'm going through, some other energies start showing up. And about, I would say about 2 years ago, I went on vacation to a very lovely place like Oceanside. And the ocean there is kind of like a pool, warm water, almost no waves. So it was like beautiful place to try to go and meditate. And I said to my kids, I said, I'm gonna go in the water, not bother me. My eyes are gonna be closed. I'm just gonna be meditating in the water. I love Oceanside, so that for me is
Too.
like my place, right? My
Yes.
happy place, my
Yeah.
reconnecting, my refreshing place is to go to the ocean. And I go and I'm there and I'm in deep meditation, kind of like in the water. I'm relaxing, everything's fine. And I ask, And I said, okay, like universe, what do you want to tell me? Like, what do you have for me? Or, a guide or something. And I hear like very clear, nada. And I speak Spanish. So
Yeah.
nada in Spanish means nothing.
Nothing.
And I was like, what? Nothing? Like, I'm here in this beautiful place, surrounded by my spirit animals and this and that. And I'm like, and you have nothing? Like, what are you talking about, right? And and I was like, this gotta mean something. Like, there's no way they just told me nada, like plain and simple, like, like don't bug us today, you're on vacation kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I came home, I didn't find anything. I was like, like saints, archangels, I was trying to like look up something, I couldn't find anything. And I was like, okay, nada, literally nada. 6 months passed by. And I was listening to one of my mentors, whatever, and she goes like, yeah, we're gonna be talking today about, like balancing the divine feminine and the divine masculine. This divine masculine is gonna help us, whoever she named at the time, I don't remember. And she's like, and Lady Nada is gonna come in. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's an ascended master. And I had no idea that this energy, this being, if you want to call it, like existed, it's an
No.
ascended master. And I was like, I had a total misinterpretation of what the sign was
Yeah.
because my own history got in between, right?
Yes.
Because immediately I had nada and I was like, oh, and then I was like, you know what, like, thank you. I get it now. I get
Hmm.
what you were trying to tell me, Sometimes I tell people, when sometimes you will receive the signs, not because of what you're going through in that moment, but because they want to make you aware of something
Hmm.
and it's just gonna come. It may be 6 hours from now, 6 weeks from now, 6 years from now. I don't know, but this means something. If it's coming into your attention, if it's coming into your awareness, it's because it does have a meaning. Maybe we just need to wait for divine timing for that meaning,
Yeah.
to actually materialize for you.
Exactly. And it's very, very good that you talked about this because a lot of times things happen and we don't understand why. And a
Yeah.
lot of us are then looking for an explanation or trying to justify it or any of these things. And in general, that's not helping. There are many, many times when things that happen or signs that you've gotten only become clear well after the fact. And
Yes.
I think that is a big part in why you need to trust. And that sounds so deceptively simple, but it's so difficult because most of us have learned to be in control.
Yes. Yes. That's something that for me was very, very difficult. Because we also nowadays we live in a very like fast-paced society, right? We have information now. Anything is like immediate now. And I believe that that also takes us away from ourselves because we want everything now.
Now,
We don't like something and it's like, okay, let's move on to the next thing because it's not now.
yes.
And many times the beauty of it is just to stay in the moment and to absorb and then maybe wait without really waiting, like longing on it, just like have the awareness that this happened and eventually the meaning is going to come to you and it's going to make sense. And that is very, very difficult to you. To surrender to the divine timing, it's something that sometimes is very difficult to do,
Yes. Yes.
especially
Exactly.
when it comes to health or relationships, that
Hmm.
it's very, very difficult. Sometimes
Yes.
it's, you want like closure, you want an explanation, you want a meaning like now.
Yes.
Very difficult game to play because sometimes you're not ready for the now.
No, exactly. And so if we circle back to the question that started us off on our talk, how to have confidence in your magic, it
Yeah.
starts with getting to know yourself really well. And yes, you can do that by yourself. I've created many journals that I sell on Amazon for shadow work, for self-love, for inner child healing, a variety of things that you can
Yes.
already use to start your deep inquiry. There are many other books out there that you can read. There's lots of free information on the internet. There are free groups that you can join. So there is a lot of things out there that you can already do for yourself. But if you want better success and faster success and not to have to take so many detours and learn so many lessons, then it is wise to reach out to someone like you or someone like me to
Yeah.
be your guide or your mentor or your coach or whatever word you want to
Yeah.
give it, so that you can ask questions. They can point out things that are in your blind spot, things that you don't
Yes.
see about yourself. They can also help you connect the dots, or maybe ask the questions that unlock something or that trigger
Yes.
something, give tips, gives exercises, in general, be your supporter that helps you move along your journey, much like going to the gym and starting working with a personal trainer.
Yes, that's exactly it, because there's a lot of free information out there. There's a lot of reading that you can do. There's a lot of work that you can do on your own. But it will come a point maybe where you need extra guidance, extra support. You need a professional in some areas, like especially if you're going to be trying something completely new to you, and you have absolutely no guidance whatsoever. You need to go to a professional, so at least you can learn from that, session, reading, whatever it is, and then you can continue on the work on your own, or you can continue to work with somebody in a more deep and profound way, and that will accelerate your results for sure, because whoever you choose to work with, if you choose wisely and correctly, that person has seen it, has practices, has been through it. Yeah, and it can truly guide you. It can truly help you unlock things that you are not going to see in yourself, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Those blind spots, of those shadows, the patterns that are unconscious or subconscious in you that you are not able to see, they are present, but you have no awareness of them.
Yes.
So at least to bring them to light and be like, okay, now that you know about this, yeah, you can work on it, or you can stay the same, or you can incorporate it in your life maybe from another perspective, but at least you are aware of it.
Yes.
And that is very, very important. And I think that when it comes to as we started talking about the confidence in our gifts, in our magic, it really comes down to, yes, getting to know yourself and, and do work and, take it seriously.
Yes.
It will up-level your life in every aspect.
Oh, yes, in a positive way.
Yes, in a positive way. It may be something very small that you think at the time, but it will impact your life in every area, really.
In ways that you cannot even know are possible right now, I would say.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And you may discover or rediscover things in you that you didn't even remember about yourself. For us, I don't know, maybe you have a creative aspect of yourself. Maybe you like to paint or to draw or to work with ceramics or whatever it is where you can put your creativity. That's what I was saying. This doesn't mean that it's something to be scared of and that your life is gonna do a 180 change, because I think that some people is afraid that that's what's gonna happen. But it may be that you discover a point of joy and happiness in your life that you have not been exploring because you were so concentrated on other things.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
that would be a venue for you to, maybe your skill is, I don't know, to paint or to, I don't know, do gardening. I mean, I
Yes.
didn't know that I love gardening. I didn't know that I like, going and talking to the plants and, putting seeds in the soil and stuff. I had no idea. And now I am like, thank you, Mother Earth. And I go and I do all of these things and I get my own produce sometimes. And I
Yes.
feel that I have this connection, with the food that I'm eating. So it can go any way, really, because it's going to be particularly to yourself.
Yes. I've been so loving our talk today, Andrea, but unfortunately, we've run out of time. So, for you, listener out there, for you, supporter out there, I can imagine that you would like to know how to contact either of us. So, both Andrea's contact information as well as mine will be included in the show notes below this video. If you haven't done so already, it would be amazing if you could subscribe to the channel and maybe hit the bell so that you will be notified when another video comes out. And if you thought that this was an amazingly valuable episode of Awaken to Your Soul Path, then it would do me joy if you would share it with your tribe, because you never know who you know that needed to listen to this talk today. So for today, thank you for being here, for your undying support, and thank you, Andrea, for having this wonderfully amazing talk with me. I loved
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.